February 11th, and we'll be reading Leviticus chapters 1 through 4. And today we have some special guests. We have the Fisher family with us.
Fisher family.
Yay, the Fisher family. Okay, so why are you here?
Tell them about your mommy.
Mommy's not feeling well, so we came here to spend the night.
Yes, but why is
she feeling well?
why is she resting?
She's having 2 twin babies.
She's going to. She's pregnant. So y'all ready? You have your books? You have your coloring books? Y'all are ready? What do we have? What are we coloring? Okay, so you're coloring your Bible coloring. And we have Veggie Tales. And we have Bible. We have more Bible coloring. All right. Y'all ready? Yes? You ready? You're going to share with Gabriel? You know where we are?
Yes.
All right, ready? All right, chapter 1, the burnt offering. And the Lord called Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When an individual among you brings an offering to the Lord, you shall bring your offering from the livestock, either from the herd or from the flock. If this offering is a burnt sacrifice, and it is from the herd, he shall offer a male without blemish. At the door of the tent of meeting, he shall offer it of his own free will before the Lord. Then he shall lay his hand on the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him, to make atonement for him. And he shall slaughter the bull before the Lord, and the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall bring the blood, and sprinkle the blood on all sides of the altar that is at the door of the tent of meeting. Then he shall skin the burnt offering, and cut it up into parts. The sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire on the altar, and arrange the wood on the fire. Then the priest and the sons of Aaron shall arrange the parts with the head and the fat on the wood that is on the fire that is on the altar. But he shall wash its entrails and its legs in water, and the priest shall burn everything on the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, a food offering made by fire, which is pleasing aroma for the Lord. If his gift for a burnt offering is from the flocks, whether from the sheep or from the goats, he shall bring a male without blemish. He shall slaughter it at the north side of the altar before the Lord, and the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall sprinkle its blood on all the sides of the altar. He shall cut it up into parts with its heads and its fat, and the priest shall arrange them on the wood that is on the fire that is on the altar. But he shall wash the entrails and the legs with water. The priest shall bring it all and burn it on the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice, a food offering made by fire, which is a pleasing aroma for the Lord. His offering to the Lord is a burnt sacrifice of birds, then he shall bring this offering from turtle doves or from young pigeons. The priest shall bring it to the altar, wring off its head, and burn it on the altar. Its blood shall be drained out on the side of the altar. He shall remove its entrails with its feathers, and throw it to the east side of the altar to the place of the ashes. And he shall split it open by its wings, but not tear it into two. The priest shall burn it on the altar, on the wood that is on the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, a food offering made by fire, which is a pleasing aroma for the Lord. The grain offering. When a person offers a grain offering to the Lord, his offering shall be of wheat flour. He shall pour olive oil on it and put frankincense on it. And he shall bring it to the sons of Aaron, the priests, and he shall scoop out a handful of the flour and its oil, along with all its frankincense. And the priest shall burn this memorial portion on the altar, a food offering made by fire, which is a pleasing aroma for the Lord. And the remainder of the grain offering shall belong to Aaron and to his sons, which is a most holy part of the food offerings to the Lord made by fire. When you bring an oven-baked grain offering, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, or unleavened wafer spread with oil. If your offering is grain on a griddle, it should be of unleavened wheat flour. mixed with olive oil. Break it into pieces and pour oil on it. It is a grain offering. If your offering is grain in a skillet, it shall be made of wheat flour and olive oil. You shall bring the grain offering that is made of these things to the Lord, and when it is presented to the priest, he shall take it to the altar. The priest shall remove a memorial portion from the grain offering and burn it on the altar, a food offering made by fire, which is a pleasing aroma for the Lord. The remainder of the grain offering shall belong to Aaron and to his sons, which is a most holy part of the food offering to the Lord made by fire. No grain offering that you bring to the Lord shall be made with leaven, for you shall not burn leaven, nor any honey as a food offering by fire to the Lord. As an offering of its first fruits you may offer them to the Lord, but they shall not be offered on the altar for a pleasing aroma. You shall season all your grain offerings with salt. You shall not fail to use the salt for the covenant of your God on your grain offering. With all your offerings you shall offer salt. If you offer a grain offering of your first fruits to the Lord, you shall offer for the grain offering of your first fruits fresh, ripe grain roasted by fire, coarsely ground new grain. You shall put olive oil on it and frankincense on it. It's a grain offering. The priest shall burn its memorial portion and some of its coarsely ground new grain in oil, along with all of its frankincense as a food offering made by fire to the Lord. The peace offering. If his offering is a peace sacrifice, and if he is offering from the herd, whether male or female, then he shall offer it without blemish before the Lord. He shall lay his hand on the head of the offering and slaughter it at the door of the tent of the meeting. And the sons of Aaron and the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the sides of the altar. He shall offer from the peace sacrifice as a food offering made by fire to the Lord. The fat that covers the entrails and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is above them, which is on the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys. Then the sons of Aaron shall burn it on the altar, on the burnt sacrifice that is on the wood, that is on the fire, as a food offering made by fire, which is a pleasing aroma for the Lord. If his offering for a peace sacrifice to the Lord is from the flock, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he is offering a sheep for his offering, he shall offer it before the Lord. He shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering and slaughter it before the tent of meeting. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle its blood on the sides of the altar. He shall offer from the peace sacrifice a food offering made by fire for the Lord, its fat and the whole fatty tail, which he shall remove close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is above them, which is on the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys. The priest shall burn it on the altar as a food offering made by fire for the Lord. If his offering is a goat, he shall offer it before the Lord. He shall lay his hand on his head and slaughter it before the tent of meeting, and the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle its blood on the sides of the altar. He shall offer from it his offering, an offering made by fire for the Lord, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with that fat that is above them, which is on the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering made by fire for a pleasing aroma. All the fat belongs to the Lord. As a continual statute for your generations and all your settlements, you shall not eat any fat or any blood. Chapter 4, the sin offering. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, When a person sins unintentionally against any of the commandments of the Lord, that should not be done, and he violates one of them, if the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, he shall bring for his sin and that he has committed a bull without blemish to the Lord for a sin offering. He shall bring the bull to the opening of the tent of the meeting before the Lord, and he shall lay his hand on the bull's head and slaughter the bull before the Lord. The anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and bring it into the tent of meeting. The priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil of the sanctuary. Then the priest shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of fragrant incense before the Lord, which is in the tent of meeting, and shall pour the rest of the blood of the bull at the base of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tent of meeting. Then he shall remove all the fat of the bull that is for the sin offering, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys with the fat that is above them, and which is on the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he shall remove with the kidneys, just as these are removed from the bull of the peace sacrifice. And the priest shall burn them on the altar of the burnt offering. The skin of the bull and all its flesh, with its heads, its legs, its entrails, and its dung, and all the rest of the bull he shall bring outside the camp to a ritually clean place at the ash pile, and burn it on the wood with fire. It shall be burned on the ash heap. If the whole congregation of Israel commits an unintentional sin, and the matter is hidden from the eyes of the assembly, and they do any one of these things that by the commandments of the Lord shall not be done, they are found guilty, and the sin that they committed against the commandment becomes known, the congregation shall offer a bull for a sin offering, and they shall bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before the Lord, and the bull will be slaughtered before the Lord. The anointed priest shall bring some of the bull's blood to the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. He shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is before the Lord, which is in the tent of meeting, and he shall pour all the rest of the blood at the base of the altar of the burnt offering that is at the opening of the tent of meeting. He shall remove all the fat from it and burn it on the altar. He shall do all this. She shall do to this bull just as he did to the bull of the sin offering, which is what he will do to it. And the priest shall make atonement for them, and they shall be forgiven. He shall bring the bull outside the camp, and he shall burn it just as he burned the first bull. It is the sin offering of the congregation. Whenever a leader sins, and he does unintentionally any one of the things that by the commandments of the Lord his God shall not be done, and is found guilty, or his sin that he committed was made known to him, he shall bring as his offering a male goat without blemish, and he shall lay on his hand on the head of the goat, and he shall slaughter it in the place where they slaughter the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering. And he shall pour out its blood at the base of the altar of the burnt offering. And he shall burn all its fat on the altar, like the fat of the peace sacrifice. And the priest shall make atonement for them for his sin, and he shall be forgiven. If any one of the common people shall sin unintentionally by doing one of the things that by the commandments of the Lord should not be done, and is found guilty, or his sin that he committed was made known to him, he shall bring as his offering a female goat without blemish for his sin that he committed. He shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and he shall slaughter the sin offering in the place of the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of its blood on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall pour out the rest of its blood at the base of the altar. And he shall remove all its fat, just as the fat is removed from the peace sacrifice. And the priest shall burn it on the altar for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And the priest shall make atonement for it, and he shall be forgiven. And if he brings a sheep for a sin offering, he shall bring a female without blemish, and lay his hand on the head of the sin offering, and he shall slaughter it for a sin offering in the place where they slaughter the burnt offering. The priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering on his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and all the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. And he shall remove all the fat, just as the fat of the sheep is removed from the peace sacrifice. And the priest shall burn it on the altar as a food offering to the Lord, made by fire. And the priest shall make atonement for his sin that he committed, and he shall be forgiven. That is Leviticus 1 through 4.
great day.
Hang on, let's get everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.